Hi everyone, it's Terry Bruce, and this is another 10-minute nonprofit evaluation tips. Now, this month, we're pulling back a little bit to focus on the conditions that are necessary to exist at your organization for your evaluation ecosystem to flourish. Very often, organizations think that in order to advance evaluation work, they need to build capacity at the bottom among their program staff around hard evaluation concepts, data analysis, different types of evaluation. And certainly that is necessary at the higher levels of evaluation. But even before you get to that level, there is a set of conditions or circumstances that need to exist in order for you to do even simple evaluation. And that has to do with building capacity of understanding systems change and organizational capacity building that needs to happen at the top of the organization. And we're going to talk about that this month. So each week, we're going to focus on a different sort of blocker or condition that needs to be addressed in order to advance even basic evaluation work. This week, I want to focus on one of the big fears of organizations that get involved in doing evaluation and the pushback that they often get from their frontline staff that they're losing the magic by sort of trying to pin the butterfly of what makes their organization or their programs work to paper, like pinning little butterflies, and that you lose all of the magic. Now, many years ago, my husband and I went to St. Croix on vacation. And one of the things I loved about St. Croix and that was very magical about it is that there are horses everywhere. I love horses. I ride horseback, and the horses just roam free down the streets. They're in the markets. They're in the backyards. They're just everywhere. And we came to understand in asking questions that basically everybody owns a horse, but nobody keeps their horse with them. The horses are allowed to roam free everywhere. And if you need a horse, you want to go riding recreationally or even ride the horse downtown to get groceries, you just go out your back door and you grab whatever horse happens to be closest at hand. Most likely it is not your own horse. It's somebody else's horse. You have no idea whose horse it is. You just throw a bridle on them and you go riding. Then at the end of the week, Fridays or Saturday mornings, everybody goes outside and grabs whatever horses are in their vicinity and lead them down to the beach. And then they collectively all bathe the horses and then sort of exchange the horses and give the horses back to whoever owns them. And the cycle repeats. And then the horses again are just left to roam. And this is just, I loved it. I thought this was just a really warm, wonderful way of trust and collaborative ownership, and the horses get to roam wherever they want and nobody's worried about fencing. And it all just kind of works and just kind of happens. Now, if we were serious horse people, we might look at this and we might say, well, okay, that's great at a certain level. But if we want to start riding competitively and showing, I'm going to start training a particular horse, to ride in a certain way, move in a certain way, and get at a higher level. And to do that, I need to keep the same horse, and I need to always have the same horse available to me. So we might start restricting the horse's movement and put up some fences and keep our horse close to us, because we also don't want somebody else riding our horse and undoing the training that we're doing, or injuring our horse, or horse just getting injured because it's going, dangerous places and wandering around. So that's the first thing, is we sort of put up fences. So there's no more of this lovely horses just roaming down Main Street kind of feeling, and that starts to go away. And then, first we're just riding bareback with a bridle, like a rope bridle. And we might go, well, that's not good enough for competitive showing. We're going to buy some tack and we're going to start putting a saddle on the horse and reins and a proper leather bridle. And we might start dressing differently. We need proper and approved boots. We need to put on a helmet, and there's probably approved clothing for competing. And then we have to start changing the way that we ride. We have to sit up straighter. We have to make sure we're in alignment. Our hands have to be very still, and we have to do certain body movements. And then we're going to find that there's certain disciplines and there's certain ways of both the horse moving and us moving that are very different, whether you're doing jumping over fences, you're doing dressage, which is much shower and precision movements, versus Western riding, barrel racing and going really fast. So we're going to change the way we move, the way the horse moves. Some of the loosey-goosey stuff we've been doing in the past is going to go away. This is a metaphor, if you haven't caught on already, for evaluation. And oftentimes the pushback that comes from staff when upper management starts instituting evaluation. Staff start feeling like we're losing the magic of what we do, that we've never had to do. What is this about reporting and collecting the data? And suddenly now some data, like some of the outcomes we used to track, aren't good enough anymore. And we're tracking these other things. And we feel like that's maybe changing our mission or our vision a little bit. And I have to spend all this time doing data collection that I didn't have to do. And that's producing less time to do other types of things that maybe are more fun or that I enjoyed or that I feel are part of the secret sauce of why this program or organization are effective. And staff often will put on the brakes real hard and be like, we don't like this because we feel like we've gone from horse ownership where the horses wander around and it's cool and everybody's got a horse and there's nothing wrong and everything works great, to now everybody's got fences and the horses, or people aren't allowed to look at the horses and touch the horses. You can only touch your own horse. And now I have to be very stiff and formal and wear certain things and move certain ways. And this just doesn't feel good. And I don't like it. This is normal. It's expected. And it's a reasonable expectation among staff. There's also pushback that may come from, we have all these anecdotal stories of our success. Why do you need data? Why are these anecdotal stories not good enough? And you need to have an answer for that. And you need to be able to explain to staff why you're doing this evaluation and that the evaluation is actually going to help. Now, certainly, if your organization collectively is feeling like the changes that you are implementing to be able to do evaluation are unpleasant, moving you from your mission, constraining you from carrying out your mission, you're probably doing evaluation wrong. Certainly, in the St. Croix example, we could have done a study of how many horses actually get injured each year without fencing all the horses in, right? So if there's a concern that we need to fence the horses in to keep them safe so that they don't get injured when I'm investing all of this time and energy in training a horse, then we could look at that and we could get that data without changing anything except getting data we haven't currently gotten. And certainly we could say, well, if individual people are investing a lot of time in training their horses to compete, we could look at how many people collectively are doing that. And if everybody is doing training on horses, all of the horses are getting trained, and then maybe we don't need to do specific ownership of specific horses. So there are ways to approach both the evaluation questions we're asking and the way that we're evaluating our work that can lead to us still doing stuff the way that we've been doing it, but maybe with a little more care or precision, or a little tightness and uniformity and consistency, but not necessarily going hog wild and just changing everything. Ideally, evaluation is a balance between logic and magic. And yes, it is a bit of trying to pin a butterfly under glass to capture what is causing that magic. But evaluation should not destroy the magic. It's super important, additionally, to make sure that your staff and your organization understand that there actually is magic, and that is something actually is happening. You may have lots of great anecdotal stories that one person here, one person there has had great outcomes. But when you step back and look at the whole, which is what evaluation will do for you, if you've only helped one or two people out of the hundreds or thousands that you've served, there is no magic. The magic is in the thinking. The magic is in the perception, but there actually isn't any magic happening. Ideally, at its core, evaluation is going to help you prove that there is magic and help you articulate and identify what that magic is. Ideally, our work in nonprofits is not magic. It's something that can be replicated. It is something that is consistent and has a logical beginning, middle, and end, and the, inputs lead to the outcomes, that there's a cause and effect happening. And evaluation will let us identify that, share it, and ensure that even more people can be helped. So as long as everybody involved is sort of on the same page and understanding that the purpose of evaluation is not to destroy the magic, it's to sort of capture the magic and use it to help even more people, then oftentimes you can overcome that resistance. But you need to understand that there's going to be this sort of emotional pushback that's going to happen, and that is natural, and it is absolutely logical concern. And it is something that I have seen happen, that organizations can destroy their magic by instituting too much evaluation, too much restraint, trying to get very bare bones and very scientific. And you can't lose sight of, at the end of the day, a lot of times, many of these programs work because of the personalities involved, that sort of secret sauce. It's hard to identify. It's a feeling, it's a vibe. There are certainly ways that you can document how that vibe is created or what it is about those specific personalities that work so well. That can be part of the role of evaluation, but you need to understand that oftentimes organizational outcomes and impacts is a sum that is greater than the total of its parts. All right, well, that's it for this week. I would love to hear your thoughts. Go back to the main Substack article and post some comments. Have you had an experience where evaluation destroyed the secret sauce of your organization, or where you were able to use evaluation to identify the secret sauce and get even better results? I'd love to hear your experience with this topic. Join me next week as we'll do another deep dive into that conditions that are required for your ecosystem to flourish. Thanks, everyone.